Hey guys, so I wanted to make this video, 10 interesting facts about the Pokemon card set, just because it's been something I wanted to do and I have a lot of knowledge in this. I sold Pokemon cards for 10 plus years when I was younger, and there's a few things that I learned, a few things that I was able to pick up, and I'd like to share with you. And some of these things you may not know, so it'll be a good learning experience. But yeah, so let's get started. Number 1. So let's start with the name Pokemon. In Japanese, Pokemon means pocket monsters. And basically, this was a term that they used for the game for battling these monsters that you would keep essentially in your pocket. They fit in these Pokeballs that went around your belt, and they were essentially the size of a coin. And the original game that came out was Red and Green, and this was the version for a Game Boy. This was released in February 27th, 1996, and it took off. After the game, the first release date for any Pokemon card was October 20th, 1996. And at this time, it was still all Japanese. There were no American cards. Essentially, the first American Pokemon card wouldn't be until January 1999. So this is where Pokemon started. Nowadays, there are as many as 80 different English sets, which essentially mean there are at least 10 different generations of Pokemon. It's still big today with Pokemon Go on the phones, but this was the original Pokemon, and this is how it actually got started. Number 2. So the basic set is what I want to talk about next, and this is essentially the well-known set that everyone knew when they were kids. The set contained Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. This was extremely popular back in the day, and nowadays these cards are extremely valuable as well. The very first version of this set was the first edition, and nowadays these cards are rare. If you have them, even if they're not in good condition, they're still worth money. A first edition Charizard in gem mint condition can bring hundreds if not thousands of dollars. This is probably the rarest of the set because they only made a certain amount of them, and it was kind of a test essentially. The next version of the set is what's called the Shadowless set. And the Shadowless set is a set between the first edition and then the common set that everyone typically has. And there are different ways you can tell this set apart, but it was kind of like a transition period from the first edition to the Unlimited set. And it only happened for this basic set. Later on, years later, it never happened again. So this is also very highly sought out by collectors. And a couple of the other countdowns are, I guess you could say, interesting facts. I'll go over how you can spot the difference between these cards. And then finally is the Unlimited set, which is a lot of cards that a lot of people have. This is commonly what was found and gone through packs when you were kids and you pulled them, or if you got them for Christmas. Nowadays they're still extremely valuable. They're not as valuable as the first edition or the Shadowless set, but nowadays if you have these cards and they're in good condition, they are still worthwhile. Number 3, Shadowless versus Unlimited. So in number 2, I talked about how the Shadowless was kind of like a transition period. Well, one thing people may not realize when they have their cards with them, looking through them, is how to determine what is a Shadowless and what isn't. The easiest way I can describe this is you look at the HP, the health points that the Pokemon has, and for the Shadowless, it is extremely skinnier compared to the Unlimited, which is a little bit fatter. That's typically the first way I always look at it, and some of the cards it is harder to tell, so it may not be the easiest way to really determine if the card is Shadowless or not. Another thing you can look at is the energies, and the Shadowless with the energies is a lot darker, whereas the Unlimited, it's a little bit lighter. This can be a little bit easier for some people to see, but it is still hard to recognize unless you have a good eye. Then finally, the easiest way is with the shadowless, there is going to be an extra date on the bottom of the card. And with the Unlimited, this date's actually not there. So it's an added 1999, or it would say 99 after all those numbers. And this would be the best way and for sure way to tell if a card is shadowless or not. If it doesn't have that 99 and you're not sure about the energies and the HP, this is the for sure way to tell. Because if it does have it, you have a shadowless. Congratulations. Number 4. Sticking with the basic set, I wanted to go to Pikachu. In the basic set, Pikachu actually had 2 different variations. The first variation was what we call the red cheek Pikachu. And this is the Pikachu that everyone knows. It's in any of the movies, any of the shows, typically any card after the basic set, it is red cheek. However, in the basic set, the most common color Pikachu is the yellow cheek. And it's quite puzzling. Like, I never really thought about why that was, and it didn't really make much sense to me at the time. But looking back at it now, it kind of seems like the yellow one should have been the rarer card out of the 2, when in fact the red cheek Pikachu was the first version of it, released in January of 1999. And in September of 1999, they decided to switch it to the yellow cheek. I'm not sure as to why, but nowadays the red cheek Pikachus are extremely rare. They can bring anywhere, depending on their condition, from a couple bucks to $30, $40. So this is one of those ones you have to keep an eye on for. It's pretty easy to miss, again, if you don't deal with your cards. But take a look at your set. Maybe you have one of those cards in your inventory. Number 5. So the next series I want to talk about is the Jungle series. And when the Jungle series was released, there was a massive error that was sent out. June 1999, there were thousands of Pokemon cards, specifically from the Jungles, that had errors. And the error was they did not have the Jungle logo on the bottom right. This was the first series that came out that actually had a logo next to it, so you can distinguish what series it came from. And this was kind of like the trademark version of every series to come later on. And with the Jungle series, essentially boxes upon boxes were released where there was nothing on the card that indicated if it was Jungle or Basic. And these were commonly distributed. Toys R Us got them. We got them when we ordered online. And realistically, there were so many we didn't think anything of it. We sold them with the basic Jungles as well. And over time, obviously, they started to disappear and the Jungles started becoming more common. So nowadays, if you actually have any of the Jungle cards that don't have the Jungle logo next to it, they are extremely valuable. Number 6, Jungle Electrode. Now, the Jungle Electrode had a lot of controversy around it. Essentially, it was supposed to be the picture you see on the screen with the Jungle symbol next to it. However, the first edition one had a very different picture, and it caused a lot of issues when buying these Pokemon cards. Essentially, the first edition Jungle Electrode, you got it out of pack, had the basic set picture of it. And a lot of people were saying, oh, this is the basic set Electrode first edition. It has the Jungle error next to it, so they're trying to sell it for a lot more money than it actually was. It is indeed a misprint. However, it was part of the Jungle set, and they actually used the wrong picture on the card. Nowadays, I rarely ever see this card. I don't know how much it's worth, but I know it definitely would catch a pretty penny just because it's the first edition Jungle, which is the second set that was ever released for the English version, and it also has the error on it as well. So this is one of those weird cards that not too many people would really know about. However, it was put into print and it was delivered with the first edition booster packs from the Jungle series. Number 7. So the base set 2 is number 7 because it was really a pointless set. It didn't really add any value. You weren't getting any new Pokemon. You were essentially collecting the same Pokemon from the Jungle and the basic set, except it had the number 2 with a Pokeball on it. And I personally think it was a filler set because 2 months later, the Team Rocket series was released, and there was a decent gap between the Fossil and the Team Rocket series. So I think it was more of a filler. The reason why this also makes number 7 is there were quite a few cards that didn't make the base 2 set that were major hollows, you could say, in the basic set and then the Jungle set. Notably was Machamp. However, that only came in the first edition. But then you had neither Electrode from the Jungle or Jungle series made it, hollow or non. Flareon, hollow or non, did not make it. Coughing from the first set, Porygon from the first set didn't make it. Jolteon didn't make it. And it just seems a little weird. I'm not a big fan of the series. Like I said, you're collecting the same Pokemon twice, and this was a less valuable set compared to the basic or the Jungle. Number 8. Booster packs. This was a huge thing back in the day. The original series, the Fossil, Basic, and Jungle series. These 3 series specifically, you had a guaranteed shot out of the entire box of booster packs that had 32 of them, 32 packs in it. You were guaranteed to at least get 12 hollows. And this was true through the Basic, Jungle, and Fossil series only. Team Rocket, I believe it was a little bit different. I think you got 13, sometimes you got 12. And in very rare cases, a manufacturer error was sent out to where some booster packs had all hollows, or you're getting 20 plus hollows in a box. I heard of 1 or 2 instances when I was younger that this happened. God, I wish that would have happened to me. That would have been awesome. Number 9. So I do feel a little guilty about this one because I used to do it all the time when I first heard about it, and I even learned how to do it for the other series as well. But for the Basic, Jungle, and Fossil series, along with Team Rocket, you could actually weigh a pack and determine if that pack would have a hollow in it or not. You would use one of these digital scales. They were small. You could take them anywhere you want, and you would level it out to 0. You place one of the packs on, and if it weighed, I believe it was 18.1 or higher, it was a hollow. If it weighed 18 or lower, it was a non-hollow pack. And unfortunately, a lot of times this was a way to get hollows, even at Toys R Us when, you know, kids are coming hoping to get packs. We never did that, but we did get a couple booster boxes specifically for me, and I would open them up, get the hollows, and we would put them on the website. So it was a good way to get inventory, unfortunately. Nowadays, they have ways to stopping this. The newer series has reverse hollows, so they weigh a decent amount, but they don't weigh as much as, say, like a hollow or a LVX or EX card would. So Pokemon's definitely gotten better about this. They've definitely addressed this issue, and the newer series actually don't have as much, if any, of this issue going on anymore. Finally, number 10, the way Pokemon cards were numbered. Basically, they did hollows and non-hollows, and then they went on rarity. So the very first card in the basic set was Alakazam. And this was because it began highest in the alphabet, and it was considered a holographic. And essentially they did that. So the rare hollows were first. So they went from Alakazam to Zapdos. Then it was the rare cards that were non-hollow. And this would include your Electroid, this would include your Electabuzz, and they would be alphabetized that way. Then you got to the uncommon cards, which would be like Arcanine, Charmeleon, Dugong, all the way down until the very end, which I do believe, actually I don't remember what the last one was. But after that, it would go to the common cards, and then finally you got the trainers. And the trainers would do the exact same thing. Since there were no hollows, it would go from rare to uncommon to common. And then they would do that for the energies as well. There were no rare energies. It was just an uncommon colorless energy. And then the basic energies, which were common. Later on in the Pokemon series, the cards, they vary tremendously. There are reverse hollows. Some hollow energies were in the top 15 or 16 cards. And it is a little confusing why they did it this way, but that is your fact number 10 of the original series cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. Let me know if there is a different type of 10 interesting facts I'm going to do about Pokemon. Let me know if there's anything I could prove on as well, if I was wrong on any of these. And yeah, other than that, you guys have a good day. I'll see you guys later.